Hey gorgeous souls, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another one of my videos today. So today's video is very exciting because it is a manifestation success story. Yes, and I absolutely had no plan of buying a car or manifesting a car anytime soon. But as you guys will know, I recently passed my driving test at age 29, and I'm so excited to finally be on the road, finally have that freedom, and to have accomplished a huge achievement and goal before I turn 30. And I'm really excited to share with you today how I manifested this and how it came into fruition. But if you're new here to my channel, then welcome. My name is Emma. I'm an award-winning life coach and 2 times best-selling manifestation author, law of attraction YouTuber here on my channel, and the host of the #1 spirituality podcast on iTunes, Spiritual Queen's Badass Podcast. And here on my channel, I share all things law of attraction, manifestation, spirituality, and self-help with you. And not only do I really hope you're going to enjoy this video, but the abundance of videos here on my channel over the last 8 years. So how did I manifest this car then? Well, I passed my test 3 weeks ago tomorrow, so when I'm recording this, 4 weeks when you're watching it. And it was just not on my to-do list to get a car. I was like, right, my goal is to pass my test. I gave myself till the end of next year to do this, gave myself a really expansive timeline and goal. And basically it's something I wanted to do before 30, which is next August. So I had lots of time to do this in. Little did I know I'd pass first time, and it happened really quickly in eclipse season. So eclipse season is known to really just speed up new beginnings. Like in eclipse season, things like, new jobs, new houses, pregnancies, engagements, new cars, all of these things happen in eclipse season. Eclipse season is designed to get you to where you need to be. So as well as endings and obviously some more sadder things that can happen in eclipse season, lots of abundant new beginnings happen as well. And I know so many of my friends got new jobs during eclipse season. I got a new car. So I knew that this was definitely driven by, no pun intended, driven by eclipse season. So I had zero plans to get a car. I even said to my instructor, I'm probably going to get a car next year. I just want to get some other projects signed off first. So I didn't have buying a car, it felt like it was going to be a big thing. So I was like, I want to give that the mental space and I want to be ready to, have that car in my life. So I was like, I'll do it next year. I was like, there's no rush. I don't need a car right now. It's not like I need it to drive to work or do anything like that. So I was like, it's fine. It's chill. And then literally a couple of days afterwards, I went to have my nails done with my nail lady, and this was on the day I passed, sorry. The day I passed, I went to have my nails done, and Jordan was like, what car are you gonna get? And I was like, oh, definitely a Mercedes. And to give some backstory on this, I've definitely wanted a Mercedes for years. I actually have a Range Rover on my vision board, which I've been meaning to change for a while, because back in the day, many moons ago, I wanted a Range Rover as my first car, and everyone was like, that is absolutely ridiculous. And obviously now driving, I realized how ridiculous that sounded. And to be honest, I really went off them. After my ex got a Range Rover, I was like, do you know what? Nah, not for me. So I was like, right, I've always loved Mercedes for years. I really do love them. So I really want a Mercedes. So I didn't have a particular model in mind. I didn't really know the different models that Mercedes had, but I knew that I wanted a Mercedes. So for years, I've always said my first car is going to be a Mercedes. And that was just the thing that I would say to people. My first car is going to be a Mercedes. That was it. And then when I started with my driving instructor, his car is a very nice Mercedes, a very nice A-class, top of the range, very expensive one. So I feel like, and I said to him, like, you've set all of our expectations high because now we're driving in pure luxury. Like, I'm not gonna ever want to go back. They say it's like with first class, like when you sit in first class, you're never gonna want to sit in economy again. So I feel like that was my experience of driving, where I got so used to all the mod cons and all the features and all the luxurious aspects that I was like, this is some of me. Like, this is who I am as a person. Like, I want this comfort, luxury, and style as well. So I knew that I definitely wanted to find something similar to his car. Obviously not with that price tag though. So yeah, when Jordan was asking me, she's like, what car are you gonna get? I was like, oh, definitely a Mercedes. And she was like, well, what's your budget? And obviously I thought, like, do you know what? I don't actually know what Mercedes cars really go for. So I just kind of like plucked a figure. And then when I really got home and thought about it, I thought, do you actually really want to spend that much money on your first car? Like, yes, you want something nice, but like, what is your absolute top price that you want to pay? So obviously not knowing and not having clarity on how much these things cost, I had no clarity. There was no way the manifestation could happen because obviously I didn't know how much cars, like, you know, of the spec I was looking at. I'm clueless on cars. I'd never had to buy one in my life. So I had no idea, you know, how much they were or how much these things cost. And I feel like that is the number one key to manifestation, getting clear. So on the Tuesday, passed on the Thursday, on the Tuesday, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to look at Auto Trader and I'm just going to look at different models of Mercedes and get a rough price range so that I can manifest that money and I can, you know, have that to work towards and have that figure in my mind of, right, I'm looking at this kind of price range, because I had no idea what I was looking at. I was just plucking random figures out the air and they were much higher than what I actually ended up paying. So saved myself some money there, luckily. So I was looking on Auto Trader and then came across my car. And there was something about the listing and it's a silver car. And I probably would have chosen black. I probably wouldn't have openly chosen silver. If you'd said like, what color would you go for? I would have said I would have gone for black, like first preference. So I looked at loads of different colors, loads of different features, loads of different years, all different things like that, everything I looked at. And then I kept coming back to this listing and it was with a dealership, a garage. It wasn't like private secondhand, but it was a 14 plate. And I feel like to me, that was fine. Everyone around me was like, yeah, that's good. You could get something a bit newer, but that's fine. And it had really good mileage on it as well for a 14 plate. So I just sent it to my friends and I was like, I think this is my car. Like, I know this sounds ridiculous. And I know I've literally just looked at these listings and I know that this is the first car that I've seen. Well, you know, there was a lot of listings, but the first car that I want to go and see. But I was like, I think this is my car. And as soon as my friends saw it and as soon as I saw the reg plate, I was like, that's my car. And I knew it from the reg plate. My soul knew it. So my friends, when I sent it to them, they were like, oh my God, like, get it. It is your car. Like, I totally feel it. These are my spiritual friends. My non-spiritual friends were like, Emma, that's ridiculous. Why on earth would you have a Mercedes as a first car? Like, this is ridiculous. My parents had exactly the same notion as well. Why would you want a Mercedes? This is so silly. Like, you're just getting an old banger. Like, don't you dare spend that much on a car. Like, you're getting an old banger. Like, do not buy a Mercedes. Like, get this car out of your head. So even my own boyfriend was like, how do you know that it's the one though? How do you know that it's the car? Like, how do you know that? And I was like, my intuition just knows. I was like, people, trust me. I know my intuition. So I felt a bit crazy, I won't lie. And then the next day I woke up and my boyfriend was like, right, how are you feeling about the car? I was like, I still want the car. I was like, that is my car. And he was like, right. He was like, okay, I think this is a thing then. He was like, I was expecting you to be like, nope, I'm over it. And I was like, nope, that is my car. So I was like, I knew it in my soul. Anyway, it was then to convince my parents because I was going to need their help to go up and test drive it. And, you know, I wanted my parents' help to buy the car as well because I had no idea what the heck I was doing or what you do to buy a car. And I was like, they're going to come round. So I said to them, I was like, you know me, I'm going to do this anyway. So I was like, you know, you can support me and come along this journey with me, or I'm going to go do it myself anyway. My dad turned around and was like, it is a really nice car. It's really good history. It's really, really good price and value. Okay, let's go do it. So I was like, okay, Dad's on board. Fantastic. So we were going to go then view it at the weekend. This was the Tuesday. Well, Wednesday by this point. And then my dad was like, let's go tomorrow. And weirdly, I booked out the day off work to see my friend because I hadn't seen her for ages. And we always see each other in the afternoon anyway, so it wouldn't have been like a whole day thing. And I was like, I actually am free tomorrow. Like, we could go tomorrow. So Dad called up the garage, booked it all in because I didn't know what the heck I was meant to say or do. Good old Dad's for you. And booked it in the next day and for Thursday. And he was like, I've paid the deposit. And I was like, what? And he was like, it's your car. I've reserved it for you. It's only £99 deposit. You know, if you don't like it, we get it back. So it's yours if you want it. And I was like, sorry, this is the man who said I should get an old banger 24 hours ago, that called me silly for wanting a Mercedes, and that it was totally like not what I should do as a first car, and he's just put a deposit down. And I was like, if this is not eclipse season and the universe making this happen, I do not know what is. So we went to the garage, test drove it. When I sat in the car, so we opened the car, when I sat in it, the clock was 11:11, and I took the picture and I posted it on my Instagram because I was like, if that is not a sign, I don't know what is. So we took it for a test drive. I loved it. It was really great, really good condition. Like, it looks brand new, really. You can barely tell that it's had like quite a few owners before me. So literally I was like, perfect. Had all the fancy mod cons of my instructor's car, obviously not with the price tag, luckily. And basically it was like driving my instructor's car. So I was really, really happy because I felt comfortable, I felt confident, and I was like, this is what I really want, so that I don't have to get used to all different, like having a gear stick in automatic. Like, I wasn't used to that. I didn't want any of that. I loved the safety of Mercedes. I loved the feel and the drive of Mercedes. I was converted. So I was like, this is perfect. This is everything I wanted. So we got it. And I'm not going to say the price, but I will say that 1111 is featured in the price. So when that happened as well, I was like, wow, okay, 1111, I see you on the time, on the price, hello. And we went and picked her up a week later, and she's home now. So it was the wildest thing ever, because I had no intention of getting a car until next year, and the universe was like, no hun, you're getting your car, here it is. So I just think, like, part of me was like, this is ridiculous, Emma, like, why would you, like, you know, I was listening to the people around me telling me it was ridiculous to get a Mercedes as a first car. You know, I was listening to all the external noise around me of like, don't get that as your first car. That's so irresponsible. You're gonna like scratch it and dink it. Like, why would you want that as a first car? So it was a loud noise, but as I found with my actual learning of my, you know, automatic as well, there were a lot of those voices before, and when I listened to myself, when I listened to my soul and what I knew was right for me, automatic was the way forward, and like, so glad I did it. And obviously, if you want to learn about my story of how I overcame my fear and manifested passing first time, that video is a few weeks prior. So it was really unexpected. So why do I feel like this manifestation worked really well? Well, clearly it was meant to happen. Eclipse season, I feel like, ushered all of that in and ushered it in with speed. That is classic eclipse season. Things happening with speed, fast-paced changes, celebrations, new beginnings, endings. So I really feel like eclipse season was the driving force on that, but it also felt really easy. And I feel like a lot of my manifestations, especially since my Hurt Healing Healed journey, have felt a lot easier and have felt almost seamless, of like, I'm not having to fight for this. I'm not having to struggle with this. It all sort of just flowed and happened really quickly, which was lovely. And obviously now I have the car. I'm so glad I have it. I'm so grateful. And you know, I do have a Mercedes as my first car. And I did kind of think that maybe manifesting my instructor's car being a Mercedes was my first car being a Mercedes. But really, I was like, I held that faith despite people telling me it was ridiculous, despite me not knowing how much these things costed. And, you know, I did get a very good deal on it, which I'm very happy about because I saved myself money, which is good. And, you know, like when I looked and, you know, for the sake of honouring all outcomes, I did look at things like Volkswagen, Audis. I did look at different, you know, automatic cars. But honestly, like for the mileage that they had on them, the years, And just like some of the mod cons, I thought, well, for only like £1,000 or £2,000 more, I could literally have the car of my dreams. And I was like, that is a no-brainer to me. That is literally a no-brainer of, you know what you want. So I feel like when you know what you want and you trust your intuition, things happen quickly. And I did not expect in any way, shape or form to have a car a week after passing my test. I did not expect 2 weeks after passing to have a car sat outside my house. So it was a shock, but it felt so natural. It felt so right. I knew the energy of the car was mine. I know people are going to laugh at that, but I knew just from the energy, I knew from the number plate, I knew just everything about it felt aligned. And then sitting in that car at 11:11, the price reflecting that as well, I was like, this is crazy. So the advertised price was not, spiritual number. I had to have some things added to it for safety purposes because I wasn't comfortable with a car not having parking sensors, especially as a first car. So that was my non-negotiable of I'm not buying this unless it has parking sensors on. So I did have to have some things added, and then we looked at extra warranty and stuff like that. So that's why, I wasn't like, oh, the car's that price to start off with. But it was a really amazing story because it was totally unexpected, totally magical, totally divinely guided with those 11:11 signs as well. Like I knew I was on the right path, and I listened to myself at all times. There was a moment where I was like, I'm not sure. We should do this because it's the first car. Like me and Dad went outside and had like a little team talk, and I was like, it's the first car we've looked at. And I think in my head, I was like, be reasonable, Emma. It's the first car you've looked at. There's going to be other cars. Like, yes, it's really nice. Yes, it ticks all the boxes, but practical, logical Virgo here. And, I actually ended up manifesting the money back really, really quickly, and half of it straight away. So I thought, like, do you know what? That is the sign from the universe to be like, come on, here's your little encouragement. Here's your like, come on, let's get it. And obviously for me, it wasn't about manifesting the money back straight away. Definitely not. Or like any of the money. It wasn't really a case of, oh, I'll get it, but I'll manifest the money back. It was actually more of a case of like, just, do you buy the first car that you see? Is this what I want right now? Because I hadn't blooming expected it. I was like, God, I need to like process that this is happening. And like, do I want that responsibility? Am I, prepared to bring that on into my life right here, right now? And, the upkeep of a car and everything. Is that what I want right here, right now? So it was more like the emotional and the responsibility side that was more of the consideration for me during that. But I knew in my heart, and I knew as these signs came along, that I was like, this is my car. I've said it from the beginning. I said it the moment I saw her reg plate. I knew it was my car, and she is my car. So it was a lovely, lovely story. It was a lovely, lovely manifestation that came into fruition. My first car is a Mercedes, yes. And despite everybody telling me that was ridiculous, everybody loves the car now. Everyone's like, this is so safe. This is so great. And obviously, like, I said to the people around me, I said, I'm not a 17-year-old. I'm a 29-year-old. I feel like I've come far enough in life to experience some luxuries in life and, buy the car that I really want, not have to, sacrifice or get a little old banger. And there's nothing wrong with old bangers either. This is not me discriminating against old cars, not at all. Like, it's just not what I personally wanted. And if that's what someone wants, then amazing. And you've got to get a car that you feel comfortable in. And a lot of the old bangers, I didn't really feel safe in them. It felt like a very empty tin can as such. Whereas, Mercedes and Audis and all these cars, they feel very safe when you're in them. So for me, it was about safety. It was about comfort. It wasn't about just having a named car of like, oh, Mercedes. It wasn't like that at all. Like for me, I don't care what the brand is. It was all about making sure I'm as comfortable as possible. Old me who set the intention, yeah, obviously wanted the Mercedes name, but the me here now who's a driver is like safety, comfort, what's going to make me feel the most comfortable driving and really help me feel confident. So for me, it was just a no-brainer because I had learnt in one, because that's what felt good to me. It was a no-brainer to look at that. So I honoured myself at all stages. I honoured my needs and what I knew that I wanted. But was totally open at the same time as well to other cars, to other brands, and was just looking. I wouldn't really say it was like a long drawn out process. As we know, it was blooming a week. It was quick. So, well, actually a few days from seeing it to getting it. It was 2 days. So it happened very quick. But sometimes the best things do happen like that. They take us by surprise. They take us like we're not expecting it. And it's the most beautiful, seamless manifestation. So I wanted to share that because I wouldn't actively sit here and be like, I was actively manifesting that car. It was an intention that I set years ago. It was just a phrase, a term that I had used and even put on my Instagram post when I passed, that I said my first car will be a Mercedes. So that affirmation, that statement, that intention I've been saying for years, but the active energy of looking for one or being like, right, now I'm going to get one, I don't think was there, apart from getting clarity. And maybe that clarity and complete surrendered energy was the catalyst for it, alongside the eclipse energy. But I definitely do believe the relaxed approach of, I'm just going to get clarity. How much do these cars cost? What model do I want? Like, what should I be looking at? Was simply just a clarity exercise to be able to aim towards that, to be able to work towards that at the time I felt ready. But as we know, the universe sometimes decides we're already ready, and you're not always ready for things in life anyway, as we know. So, now I'm like, do you know what? Best thing that happened. So glad I have it. So glad I have that freedom. So glad I can continue driving, because even I think what really the catalyst for me looking at Auto Trader on that Tuesday was I really missed driving. I was thinking like, oh, I haven't got driving this week. Like, am I actually going to be okay with not driving for like 6-10 months? Is that actually going to knock my confidence? And like, I'm really going to miss it. If I'm missing it after 5 days, I'm really going to miss it after a few months. And then how am I going to feel about it in a year? Am I going to create anxiety again and fear because I feel like I've forgotten everything? So I feel like that was the catalyst of, look, just look how much they are, get an idea, and maybe you could be open to having one a bit sooner. Little did I know that meant that week, like 2 days later. So yeah, wouldn't say that was my intention or that it was planned, but that surrendered, very neutral approach, I definitely feel has always superpowered my manifestations and always helped them to happen in a really natural, like easy flowing way. So yes, proud owner of a Mercedes, which I'm so, so grateful for. Thank you, universe, and thank you for myself for trusting myself. And thank you to my parents as well for helping out, and obviously knowing everything about cars, because I knew nothing. So I feel like I've learnt stuff along this process as well. But it's been so much fun, and now I get to learn how to park the thing. That's the fun aspect of being a newly passed driver, is I've got no idea how to park the bloody thing. So I've had some parking lessons with my instructor. I'm parking it almost daily to ingrain how to park it. Not because I feel like the car's big or anything. It's actually a lot smaller than what my instructor's car was. But it's more of a case of everything's different when there's cars around. When you're taught how to park, there are no cars around you. And then suddenly there are cars, and you might have to park in between 2 cars, or, things like that. So I'm definitely glad I had a refresher session to learn that. And just to get comfortable in my car before I go on longer journeys by myself, or, get flustered parking by myself. So a great top tip if you're newly passed as well. Well worth the money. Anyway, that's how I manifested my Mercedes. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've manifested your car baby before, or if you're manifesting a car. I guess like my top tips of what I would say really helps, or what I would advise you guys if you're wanting to manifest a car or a Mercedes or whatever, is to get specific. Although I had that old intention of a Range Rover, my energy and myself knew that's not what I wanted. So it was not what I wanted to spend on a first car. It was not what I wanted, and I knew it wasn't practical either. So energetically, I knew that was already a no, even though it's on my vision board still. But who's not to say that could be a future car? We'll see. But I quite like Mercedes. I plan to have this one for a while. And then I would definitely say the clarity aspect helped. So looking at the models, looking at the different options out there, looking at the price, and deciding within myself what feels like a good amount of money to spend. What do I want to spend out of my savings? What do I not? Like, it was actually a good exercise to tune into that and be like, how would it feel to spend that much? Is that going to make me feel like, oh, I've spent a lot? Or is that going to make me feel, oh, like actually that feels really good and in alignment? So that was a good like budget gauge for me of what I wanted to spend. And then, you know, we obviously went and looked. So I think even looking at cars, like, but having that relaxed approach of, you know, if you need it because you have a job, for instance, there may be a time element to it, but putting yourself out there, going and looking, writing a list of, you know, in my head, I didn't write a list for this because again, I wasn't expecting to manifest it this quickly. I had a list of requirements in my head. So write a list of requirements down. Do you want a reversing camera or stuff like that? Do you want parking sensors? Do you want an automatic? Do you want, I don't know, like all these different features they all have nowadays? So writing that, well, knowing it in my head in my case was really, really good, because then I knew what my non-negotiables were, what I really wanted, and what I was willing to compromise on and what I wasn't willing to compromise on. I was flexible though, I was flexible. So price, clarity, non-negotiables, what I wanted it to include, and then go and sit in the cars, go and test drive them, even if you're not planning to buy at the moment or, you know, get one at the moment. Going and sitting them is great, because then you get a feel for the energy, you can test drive it, see if it is going to be a practical car for you, and then you know, and then you can, you know, look at cars, look at Auto Trader, whatever websites moving forwards, for when that car does come up at that perfect price or the perfect one for you, for example. But again, I was open. I would have probably put black on my list. I was like, do you know what? This silver's actually quite nice. So I was kind of here for it at that point. I was like, for me, the interior, how I feel, the safety, the features is more important to me than the colour of the car. So that was a compromise that I was happy to make, because it ticked every other single box, and I actually thought it was quite nice when I saw it. So being clear is really, really important. Knowing what feels good to you, putting yourself out there, taking the action, you know, putting yourself in the field of opportunity and possibility. I put myself on Auto Trader. I had a look. I was just looking what was out there. Even though it wasn't a committed, I'm going to do this, I want to look for cars, it was like, I'm just seeing what's out there. And, you know, I was really lucky that that car was like, here I am. And eclipse season definitely pushed that forward. So that's what I would say, is obviously be very surrendered about it. Be very like, you know, open to all possibilities. Know what you want, know what your non-negotiables are. Know what price range you're looking at, and that clarity is so important. And then also, how are you going to pay for that? I had a client a few years ago who wanted to manifest quite an expensive car, and I said, right, how are you going to pay for it? And she was like, oh, good question. And but even that simple question of her working out how they were actually going to physically afford it actually manifested the car to her. So are you going to finance it? Are you going to pay for it in full? What are your options with that? Definitely, you know, even if these feel a bit premature, if you're not, like I was, planning to buy a car right now, they're always really great to know. So you can plan and you can save and you can manifest, you know, whatever route you're going down. So I think clarity is key, 100%. Put yourself out there. Get test driving the car, see if it, you know, I would have gone and test drove a Range Rover and thought, I hate this. This is too big of a car for a first car, and like, hell no. So, you know, we did actually test drive one a few years ago, and that was my thoughts. I didn't drive it, obviously. But I was like, hell no. So that was a hell no for me at that point. So I knew what my hell no was, and I knew what my hell yes was, because I'd driven the Mercedes before. So clarity is key, and really do get specific, and be open, be surrendered, and be open. Let the perfect car that is for you, for the highest good of all, come into your life. But I'd love to hear your car manifestation stories. If this has inspired you to manifest your own car, please do let me know. I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below, and I'm sure everybody else watching would love to see them too. But thank you so much, gorgeous souls, for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, because I reply to them all, and I will see you in my next video, which will be on Tuesday. Lots of love.